Now on Anime Swiftly, we will be rapid watching an anime entitled Grave of the Fireflies, an animated war tragedy film set in the city of Kobe and Nishinomiya, Japan near the end of World War II, by Studio Ghibli. Sit back and enjoy. The film begins by introducing us to Seita with his almost lifeless body slumped over on a train station column. Most passers-by looked at him with disgust and shame, with only one lady laying food beside him. He then faintly uttered his younger sister's name. Setsuko. The train station employees investigated the bodies of the vagrants and identify which have already died. One of the employees picked up an old tin container that fell from Seita's body and threw it into a grass field outside the station. Spirits of Setsuko and Seita then appeared along with some fireflies. During the opening credits, the siblings rode the train and shared candy from the tin container. When they looked outside the train's window, they saw multiple American B-29 bombers fire-bombing the town. We are then set in a flashback when Seita was seen securing their family's belongings in order for their mother, who suffers from a heart condition, to first seek refuge at the nearby bomb shelter. He then carried his sister on his back and tried to flee the town but was caught in the middle of the fire bombing. Luckily, they were able to escape unharmed while running into other people in town. They reached the shoreline and waited for the bombing to stop. Setsuko lost her left shoe and Seita offered to buy her a new one. She told him she has money and empties her coin purse, showing only buttons and a few coins, to which they laughed. Rain then began to pour, clearing out most fires in town. The siblings went back to town and saw the devastation left by the bombing. Burnt trees and dead bodies were scattered among the debris. A soldier on a bicycle announced that residents of the town should seek first aid at the local elementary school. When they get to the school, a family friend told Seita that her mother was injured. He searched for her mother with the help of a medical officer, who gave him her mother's ring. The family friend looked after Setsuko. When he saw her mother, she was in critical condition. Seita informed Setsuko that her mother was injured and had to be transferred to another hospital, but in reality, their mother died. He instructed her sister to keep their mother's ring in her coin purse. Setsuko cried because she wanted to see their mother, and Seita tried to console her by doing this. The next morning, their mother succumbed to her burn wounds and was cremated with several other corpses. They then traveled to Nishinomiya to stay at their aunt Yakukawa's home, along with some of their mother's remains. Seita went back home and recovered the belongings he secured before the fire bombing started. He gave all of it to his aunt except for a tin can of fruit drops. Setsuko informed her brother that their cousin bought her new shoes. In the evening, they went out and caught fireflies. Seita then gave his sister one of the fruit drops, which delighted her. During their stay, they enjoyed regular trips to the beach. One day, they encountered a dead body on the beach and Seita started hallucinating about happier moments they had with their mother, which was interrupted by another air raid. Eventually, their aunt started suggesting to Seita to sell her mother's kimonos for rice, to which Setsuko got upset and cried. A flashback to one of their happier family portraits was then shown. Seita and Aunt Yakukawa then divided the white rice. Initially, she was more than happy to share the rice with Seita and Setsuko, but then as the days went by, she began rationing her niece and nephew's food, claiming that they didn't do anything to earn the food. In Seita's head, he was thinking, "Bish, that's from selling my mother's kimonos." Setsuko said something similar, only more polite. Their aunt then proposed that they should cook their own food and that they contact other relatives living in Tokyo, as the town could be the target of the next bombing. The siblings then went to the bank and learned that their mother had 7,000 yen in her account. Setsuko was feeling grumpy as she was hungry and thirsty, but her brother gave her a fruit drop, which appeased her. Seita began writing to his father, a naval officer, updating him on their current situation. He stopped by a local merchant and purchased a clay stove, some dishes and utensils, a comb, and an umbrella with holes in it. This drew Aunt Yakukawa's ire and told her houseguest and daughter that Seita did this to spite her. After they dropped by the merchant to buy more rice, Setsuko was growing restless and irritable. Her brother gave her the last few fruit drops. They then poured water in the tin can so that Setsuko can drink the remaining flavor left in the can. Much to their aunt's dismay, Seita left the unwashed dishes for her to clean and Setsuko began crying inconsolably and kept the other people in the house up at night. During a nighttime air raid alert, Seita spotted an abandoned refuge where they could escape their aunt's constant nagging. "Don't we all, Seita, don't we all?" They then started living in the abandoned shelter, taking all of their belongings with them and scavenged some items along the way. They stopped by the friendly merchant and bought some food and straw. The siblings collected water from the well, gathered snails and sticks, and started a small fire to cook food with. Then, they collected fireflies and released them in the shelter, admiring the beauty of the lights, which reminded Seita of the naval ship his father was stationed in. In the morning, Setsuko dug a grave for the dead fireflies, revealing to her brother that their aunt told her their mother died. Seita wept and offered to take her to their mother's grave soon. They went back to the merchant to try to get some food but came empty-handed except from an advice from the merchant, telling Seita to return to his aunt and swallow his pride and be brave. On their way back to the shelter, they were nearly hit by a barrage of bullets from a hostile aircraft, but they managed to dodge it and hid in a nearby garden where they started stealing the local farmers' crops. Setsuko began having diarrhea and exhibited rashes all over her body. Seita then tried to steal more crops but was eventually caught. At the police station, the officer let Seita go and even threatened the farmer that he could arrest him due to assault. Setsuko followed her brother to the station and she asked her brother if they should get a doctor to look at his injuries, which made Seita cry. Seeing his sister growing weaker each day, Seita resorted to stealing supplies from people's homes during air raids, hoping to get enough to be able to afford taking his sister to the doctor. One morning, Seita saw his sister in a weakened and dehydrated state, passed out on a field, which prompted a visit to the doctor. The doctor diagnosed Setsuko with malnutrition and told Seita to just give her food, which angered him, causing him to yell at the doctor, given the scarcity of food. They encountered a delivery man transporting ice to a nearby residence. Seita picked up the ice shavings on the ground and fed it to his sister. He offered to buy her all the food and nourishment she needed and Setsuko begged him not to leave her alone ever again, to which he agreed and they hugged each other. After learning that his father perished along with the whole Japanese fleet, Seita withdrew all the money from his mother's account. After he arrived at the shelter, Seita saw his sister hallucinating about food and ate marbles thinking they were fruit drops, which made her brother teary-eyed. Her brother fed her with a watermelon he just bought, to which she thanked him, and hurried to cook food for them to eat. Setsuko never woke up. After looking over her sister's lifeless body, Seita decided to cremate his sister using supplies donated, not pledged, donated by the merchant. We then see what's left of the shelter and what Setsuko did when his brother was away. Seita placed his sister inside a wicker basket with her things and sets it on fire. He placed some of her remains inside the fruit drop tin container and left the area. The film ends with the spirits of Setsuko and Seita surrounded by fireflies in the present day looking towards the well-lit modern city of Kobe, Japan. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this and see you in the next video.